two prayers that come together in our evening service. The prayer, the blessing for redemption. The idea that we can overcome obstacles. We can overcome difficult situations. Next to the idea that we ask for a shelter of shalom. We ask to be covered, to be sheltered by that shalom, but we also, most importantly, ask to find that shalom within our hearts. We are on page 160.
Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, be'amidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, be'amidenu shomreinu lechayim. Setenu uvoenu lechayim u'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam.
Baruch atah Adonai, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. Blessed are you, guardian of Israel, the shelter of peace. This is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over the holy city, the city of Shalom, Yerushalayim. Page 162, ושמרו בני ישראל. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. Page 164, please rise for תפילת עמידה. ידה לי 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 אדוני, ידה לי 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 שפתי תפתח, ידה לי 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 ופי יגיד, ופי יגיד תהילתך. ידה לי 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 אדוני,
אלא שפתי תפתח, אלא ופי יגיד תהילתך.
We continue with תפילת עמידה in silence. אתה גיבור לעולם, אדוני, מחיים מתים את הרב ליושי. לדבר השם מחיים חיים בכזאת. אתה קדוש ושיחה קדוש וקדוש. אתה אדוני, יאל הקדוש. תגיד השם. Muy buenas noches, no venía a no vimos. No, que לרצון אמרפי, בהגיון ליבי, לפניך אדוני, צורי וגואלי, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. ועשה שלום במרומיו, ועשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all Israel, and all who inhabit the earth. And let us say,
Amen.
you may be seated. At this point, we take a moment to acknowledge people dealing with illness. We think of those dealing with illness in their bodies. We think of those dealing with illness in their souls. We think of those dealing with addictions. And we think of those carrying grief, carrying pain. As we go around the room, we invite you to share the names of those that you are thinking about in this Erev Shabbat, those that you are praying for their recovery.
Richard Kennemer, Jack Long, John Green Gordon, Bruce Roberts, Stuart Mass, Howard Levine, Alfreda Massman, Diane Siegel, Francine Pack, Jill Becker, Gail Franco, Melanie Weil, Scott Van Gundy, Ed Stein, Stu Baker, Victoria Spiller, Dave Stahl, Lonnie Goldman, Richard Ravitch, former member of Shir Hadash, Lauren Janovich, cousin of Joyce Bodick, Edna Stone, mother of Eric Stone, Adam Kaufman, Ian Ballard, friend of Allison Turner, and Janet Wall, the mother of Bonnie Wall.
We're on page 371 for Mishaverach. Find the cottage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say,
bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Wish to all of them, to all of you, to all of us, refuah shlema, a complete recovery. And let us say, Amen. Good Shabbos, everyone. Let me start off track. I want to share something that is interesting. Some people say that I live off track when talking about Torah. So, in the Amidah, when we seal the first blessing, we say, in the tefillah, when we seal there's a concept of sealing blessings, which basically means that blessings, according to the tradition, they have a signature. So we say whatever we say, and then at the end, sometimes at the beginning, there are different kinds of blessings. We say what we were talking about. So we say, at the end of the first one, Eloheinu v'Elokei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, etc., etc. And then we say about Abraham. Come on, you sing that out loud on Saturday mornings. And you sing that out loud in your mind. We say Magen Abraham. We say Magen Abraham. Now, we use the word a shield for Abraham, right? Okay, where is that shield coming from? Like, why is the prayer using that concept? My wife is looking at me like, you were supposed to talk about Israel. But I'm going to get there. but there's I will get there, yes. So, but there's a reason I'm asking that. Because we say Magen Abraham, and play with me with the association for 1 second. Noah is going to be chanting that tomorrow morning, and we will say Magen Abraham, Bestrat Sarah, or Foket Sarah in different Sidurim, in different prayer books. But the word Magen Abraham, it comes from this Torah portion, Parashat Lech Lecha. We learn that Abraham and Lot, or Abraham and Lot at the time, Lot was his niece. They split apart. We'll talk about that in a moment. They were family. And then we learned that all of a sudden, we spoke about that story, remember, Noah? Months ago. And then we learned that Lot is kidnapped. And while there was some family conflict, Abraham doesn't think twice. And he goes immediately to the rescue. Actually, Sarah told him, now you go. Now you go. And he goes and he brings his entire people or army at the time, and he goes out to the rescue. And once he has rescued Lot, one of the kings comes and says, well, how can we pay you? Because you help our entire town. And Abraham says, no, I don't need anything from you. Thank you very much. I'm going to go home. And then there's a blessing there. And as a part of the blessing that this king shares, appears the concept Magen Abraham, a shield to Abraham. Now, it's very interesting that the family is protected ultimately when we show up for each other. And this idea of showing up for each other is particularly important in times that we actually don't want to come to family gatherings, right? You say, maybe not this Thanksgiving. Next year. Next year we'll come. Or for the next Simcha. not this one, like, because someone annoyed us in the phone like 3 weeks ago. I was like, oh, I'm coming. Well, so this is kind of happening in this Torah portion. But more than that, I think it's happening to us, to many of us, in the aftermath of the elections in Israel. I received many calls and many emails from congregants asking me, what do you think about the elections in Israel? And if you look at the media, there are good reasons to be preoccupied. And I usually, my tendency is to say, well, don't listen to the media. Well, this time, we need to listen to the media with some proportion and with some contextualization that I want to share in a moment. So, this is the first story that appears in our Torah portion. God says to Abraham, Lech lecha el haaretz asher areka. Go to yourself, go forth to the land that I will show you. Which one is that land? Come on, friends. Which land is that land? America. Well, Joshua, if you think of Congregation Shir Hadash as a little embassy of Israel, of the land of Israel, then you are absolutely right. We are a little piece of the land of Israel as well. So Abraham is sent to the land of Israel. And from that moment, from the 12th chapter of the book of Genesis, we start our relationship with that land. From moment one, as soon as we recognize ourselves as an entity, we recognize a connection to the land of Israel. And this connection to the land of Israel is particularly challenging when, once again, we feel a big disconnect. Many of us are feeling a big disconnect with the election. Now, what happened in the election? There was a shift. Now, for those that were following the news, to some extent, we were expecting that this was going to be the situation. Israel went to elections for the 5th time in 2 years. We couldn't make a coalition for a very, very long time. Israel has a parliamentarian democracy, and the distribution of seats in the government didn't work. Now, what's the meaning of this election in Israel? So there's a big party, the Likud. Now, before I go into that, let me make something very clear. The distinction here is not between right and left, as we would say in the United States. Because in both camps, there were not left-wingers, but right-wingers. The right in Israel is divided, and a part of the right is working with the other camp to change the government. And as a matter of fact, some of the big concerns in Israel have to do with civil rights, and not necessarily with what we often think about. It has to do with the two-state solutions, for example. Nobody spoke about the two-state solution in Israel in these elections. This wasn't a topic. The topic, yes, some parties spoke about the annexation of certain territories. Occupied territories or territories in dispute, depends how you call them. But the topic wasn't by any means the two-state solution. Now, we recognize that the Jewish American society and the Israeli society are growing apart. And then we struggle to show up for Thanksgiving, right? That's, once again, this idea. We tend to disconnect. And I want to share some of the significances of this election. There are 32 seats in the Knesset, that is 120 seats, 32 seats that are going to be occupied by ultra-Orthodox and Orthodox parties. There are going to be significantly less women represented in the parliament, in the Knesset. The LGBTQ rights are going to be a part of the conversation once again, because some of these parties have made a part of their agenda to speak loudly about this. Now, another important thing, because of how the system works, actually, the quantity of votes was almost equal between the two camps. I don't know if you heard about that. No, okay. So the quantity of votes was almost equal. But the way in which we make, or in which political deals are made in Israel works, many of those votes went to the trash. And for the first time, the most liberal party and Zionist, liberal, and Jewishly committed party, Meretz, since the beginning of its existence, is not going to be represented in the parliament. Now, a piece of good news, Rabbi Gilad Karif, the former CEO of the Israeli Reform Movement, is going to be a part of the Knesset once again. So there's going to be a voice speaking constantly. And Gilad is a genius. He's a fantastic thinker. He's a fantastic rabbi, a fantastic politician. So he will be speaking constantly about civil rights, because as a matter of fact, we know that liberal Jews, we don't have the same kind of representation. I want to tell you something that is even worse, and we're going to make it better in a moment. You know what day is today? Today is November 4th, 27 years of the assassination of Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin. Now, 28 years ago, there was a young man, his name is Itamar Ben-Gvir, who took an ornament from Rabin's car and said, we go to his car, we're going to get to him. Now, Itamar Ben-Gvir today is number 2 in a party that has now 14 seats in the parliament, and is the 3rd party in the state of Israel. So now he doesn't speak that way anymore. He got better. He's a lawyer today, and not a teenager. But the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin happened in a context of hatred between siblings. And I want to say that even when many of us are disappointed with the elections, we are disappointed with the immediate prognosis of liberal Judaism in the state of Israel, we need to show up for Thanksgiving. We need to keep showing up. It's not time to refrain from engaging. It's time to show up and to balance the civic dialogue in Israel. It's not time for us to increase the gap between the values of the diaspora Jewry and the values of Jews in the state of Israel. It's Israel time for us to get closer and to be there. And there is a beautiful thing in our Torah portion. I was telling you the story of Lot. The Torah portion tells us, where is it? Well, I didn't bring the translation to that, so I will translate that live. ביער ריב מקנה אברהם ובין רועה מקנה לוט. There was a big fight between the shepherds of Lot and the shepherds of Abraham. But they couldn't come to an agreement on how to divide the land in which they were going to work. ויאמר אברהם אל לוט, and Abraham said to Lot, אל נא תהי מריבה ביני וביניך, בין רועי ובין רועיך, כי אנשים אחים אנחנו. There shouldn't be any kind of strife or fight between my shepherds and your shepherds, because we are people, and more than that, we are siblings. And I think that one of the things that this Torah portion teaches us, this is one of the most important things that happen in this Torah portion, and it's that This is the beginning of our people. This is the beginning of our recognition as an entity. What are we? What are we in this Torah portion? Crickets? Well, certainly I want to just say, we are not a religion in this Torah portion. Like Abraham and Sarah didn't create a cult or a religion. They had an idea, monotheism, yes. But when Abraham is speaking to Lot, and God is speaking to Abraham, he's talking about, or God, they are talking, God is talking about your family. There is a thinker, his name is Abraham Infeld. He once wrote, who are we? Are we co-religionists? There is a bank in New York, Infeld wrote. It's called the Chase Manhattan Bank, quite popular. He's from South Africa, so which has the motto, you have a friend at Chase Manhattan. Bank Discount, which is an Israeli bank, opens its first branch in New York. And they came up with a great slogan. Every hour on local radio, every 4 hours on television, you hear this wonderful ad. You might have a friend at Chase Manhattan, but we are mishpuche. We are family. They hit the nail on the head. What makes us Jews is that we are mishpacha. That is why the Torah does not call us Jews, nor Hebrews, but children of Israel. It is language taken from the sociology of family. How we remain family? This is me asking. We remain family by showing up, even when we are disappointed. This is time to double up on Israel. If we were thinking that we might go next year to Israel, we should go next year to Israel. If we were thinking, like maybe twice next year, if we were thinking that we might need to organize a trip for our teenagers, we have to organize a trip for our teenagers. Not because we embrace the reality of what it is, because we are here, we are family, and even when we deeply disagree, we have great challenges. With how the political map of the state of Israel is divided today, we don't give up on the state of Israel or in the land of Israel, because it is our first covenant. That's how we started off. We have a land, and we are family. That's one more thing that happens in this Torah portion. We are told, Abraham is told, when he's asking, like, how am I supposed to know? Like, what is this? Where is this? So the Torah says, Kum be'italech ba'aretz. Stand up and walk throughout the land. And I want to leave you with this idea. This is time not only to talk the talk, but even when we are experiencing difficulty, to look toward the future, which is a bit uncertain, but it will be really better if we are involved, if we commit ourselves to look toward the future with hope, and to kum beitalech ba'aretz, and to walk the walk. Shabbat shalom. We'll continue our service on page 588 with Be'ashebota elevavecha. And if you are under the age of 13 years old, we invite you and encourage you to open the Ark with Cantor. It's a wonderful experience to get a first sight of the Torahs. Be'ashebota. Elevavecha. Ki Adonai. האלוהים
הוא האלוהים,
והשב אותה
והשב אותה
אל לבביך
אל לבביך,
כי אדוני
כי אדוני
הוא האלוהים
הוא האלוהים,
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ היום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You may be seated. At this point, we take a moment to acknowledge mourners among our community. If you are during the first 7 days of mourning, please rise and share with us who you are remembering. Your mom. If you are during the cycle of the first 30 days of mourning, Shloshim, please rise and share with us who you are remembering. If you are during the cycle of the first year of mourning, please rise and share with us who you are remembering. If you have a yortzeit,
Mimi Levy.
if you have a yortzeit this week, the anniversary of someone's passing by this time of the year, in years past, please rise. Tufik?
Sam Denmark.
Our congregation
The congregation offers its condolences to Shel Rubenstein and Jody and Richard Muirhead on the death of Jody and Richard's son's Ben's mother-in-law. I want to say that very carefully. It's Ben's mother-in-law, Karen Imbalzano. To Orla Colgan on the death of her mother, Dr. Galina Butorina, and to Nika Alinovich on the death of her mother, Vlasta Venovich. Scott Sephardi, Lillian Berman, Robert Bruce Myers, Abraham Karras, Norman Green, Marilyn Silverman, Leslie Heinall, Paulette Sofin, David Green, Jeannie Porish, Estelle Abrams, Spencer Caney, Arthur Cherdak, John Ivers, Marilyn Handelman, Kay Dameron, Nina Marome, Andrea Cameron, Ziba Feruzin, Rosella Newton, Linda Sherry, Fred DeCastro, Sherry Skihan, Larry Eisen, Harry Gross, Michael Taub, David Schwartz, Rhoda Fryman, Eliad Foner Lipsitz, Ron Wolk, Adina Neer, Tamara Noten, Mimi Levy, James C. Price, Colette Kaplowitz, Rita Smith, David Corman, Stephen Allen Gerwitz, Jay Guadalupe Chavez, Newt Westergren, Ross Bergman, Sam Denmark, Craig Abrams, Barbara Snyderman, Joseph Masuda, Joseph Spakariech, Sal Goldberg, Theodore Levin, Violet Freeman, Isaac Steiner, Eunice Norberg, and Irving Friedman.
You can support our fellows while standing or sitting, joining us with your voices and your hearts for Mourners Kaddish Avelim on page 598.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei t'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'alam u'laumei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei kudisha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן.
May the memories of your dear ones be always a blessing in your life. Yeh Zichram Baruch. You may be seated.
It's my pleasure to invite up Trista Bernstein, who will share a few brief announcements with us.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to highlight just a few announcements, but you can see all of the announcements on the back of your handout, and you can find all of our events on the website calendar. Tomorrow, Saturday, November 5th at 9:30 a.m., we have Torah study in the chapel, followed at 10:30 a.m. by our Shabbat morning service as Noah Siegel is called to the Torah as bar mitzvah. On Saturday, November 12th at 12 p.m., following Shabbat morning service, join Rabbi Nico for the first Lunch and Learn for the sake of heaven, Jewish wisdom for divisive times in American society. Please register on the website. On Sunday, November 13th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., we are giving away native plant seeds, and we have the Stanford Blood Drive at Shir Hadash in the Oneg room. Again, please register on the website. At 10 a.m., the book group will discuss The Choice by Maggie Anton. And at 5 p.m., we have Sunday night football here in the sanctuary. Join us to watch San Francisco 49ers take on the Los Angeles Chargers. For both of those events, please register on the website. Preview of...
Any specific...
You should wear red and gold.
Perfect.
You can wear red and gold, or you can not and see how it goes. This is a family event, and we will have activities for the kids in the back as well when they get bored with football. So please come and have fun. And then looking ahead, Thursday, November 17th, we have two events. At 11:30 a.m., we have our second class of Nashim, Remarkable Jewish Women, and at 7 p.m., we have the Los Gatos Interfaith Service as Los Gatos Methodist Church.
We'll continue with Kiddush on page.
Yes, thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh. Well, so we're going to first turn our theory to page actually 122. I'm getting there. And I will remind you that actually Kiddush starts with some words from Genesis. Some words from Genesis that remind us that Shabbat is an invitation to reconnect with the creation of the world. Chef, I invite you to lift up your cup. בערב, בבוקר, יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים בארץ בכל צבאם, please rise. ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. Now page 123.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך
העולם,
בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו. זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, אותנו קידשת, עם כל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Chaim. Now we invite you to as we have shared blessings for Shabbat, we share blessings with our families, with our beloved ones, with those that we feel connected. If your family is not standing next to you, we invite you to think of them, to extend your hands toward them. In Shabbat, we take a moment to acknowledge our creations, the love that we create and that we bring into the world. So make sure that you are connecting with someone, that you are not alone, that you are sharing a blessing with someone else. Make sure that nobody stays alone. D. It's a D. Shalom, shalom. Be'asem lecha shalom, shalom. Be'asem lecha shalom. Let's sing it together. Shalom, shalom. Be'asem lecha shalom, shalom. Be'asem lecha shalom. Once again. Shalom, shalom. Be'asem lecha shalom, shalom. Be'asem lecha shalom. Yevarechechem Adonai ve'ishmerechem. Ya'er Adonai panav elechem bichunekem. Yisa Adonai panav elechem ve'yasem lachem shalom. Shalom, shalom. Ve'yasem lecha shalom, shalom. Ve'yasem lecha shalom. May God inspire all of us not only to find peace, but also to find the ability, the internal peace, to engage with each other even when we are experiencing difficulties in our families. To realize that we are connected for a bond that is deeper than our obstacles, and that our willingness to show up for each other help us realize that we are not alone in this world, and help us take our obstacles with an open heart, with a softer heart. May God bless all of us with peace and connection. Adonai os le'amo iten, Adonai yevarech et amav b'shalom. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom u'mevorach. Shalom, shalom. Ve'yasem lecha shalom, shalom. Ve'yasem lecha shalom, shalom, shalom. Ve'yasem lecha shalom, shalom. Ve'yasem lecha shalom, shalom, shalom. Ve'yasem lecha shalom, shalom. Ve'yasem lecha shalom. Play something. Something. Just something.